All right, so let's see. We wanted to talk about
Get those.
what was it? Goal setting.
Goal setting and more or less your reason why. You want me to
Oh
shut that
yeah,
door
the
real
reason
quick?
why. Yeah.
So
go
there's
ahead,
no.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. So let's talk about. I guess the reason why first. You know, there's a book, Find Your Why, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people have read that, but essentially, you have to have a reason. The gist behind it is that you have to have a reason to do, not to do anything, but you have to have a reason to excel. Like if you don't have a reason that's fueling your passion, you know what I mean? Or what words am I looking for here?
Well, so what I associate your why to is obviously you like every day you got to get up and just go to work. Everyone knows that. Like, you got to do a set thing every single day.
Yeah.
But where your why comes in is when you hit those hard points.
Right.
When you hit those roadblocks and you want to quit and you don't know if you can move forward. That's when you dig into your why and you go, I gotta move forward because of this. I can't give up because of this.
Yeah. So the book, the whole thing is like, if you don't have a why, then you will easily quit and give up, right? So
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. So figuring out what that is. Sometimes it's really easy, sometimes it's not, right? Like mine is and isn't. You know what I mean? Like the easy answer is your family.
Yeah.
Right? Your wife, your kids, your spouse or your kids is usually the easy answer as to why you're doing whatever you do.
Yeah.
However, if you're not passionate about what you're doing at the same time, it's still, you're going to continue to do it, but it won't be as fulfilling. Does that make sense?
Well, yes. So, I mean, I feel like that we could dive into that as well. But there's a difference between picking something you like to do versus picking something that makes money. So there's a very fine line to where I believe, and this is my own ideologies here, that you have to give a little before you get. Meaning, if you are in a job you don't really like but it's making you a ton of money, reap the benefits of it, and then once you are financially stable and you can make the move into something that will be more mentally rewarding for you, do such. But that why keeps you going on those scenarios to where you're like, I absolutely freaking hate this, but
Yeah.
if I don't go there and get the paycheck, I'm not gonna be able to do what I need to do for my family.
Right, yeah. So that's a good point, is you don't necessarily start out where you want to end up.
Yeah, and then
right?
that's a good way to say this.
And especially when you're starting a business, it's not always the right time. And
it will never be the right time. No, scratch that.
It will, yeah, okay,
It will
that's a
never
good
be the
point.
right time. You can time the market sometimes. COVID, good example. You start an online store versus Walmart. You're going to do a little bit better than Walmart. That's good timing. Mm-hmm. But you can't really dictate, well, if it's your first time getting into business, you're going to learn a lot while you jump in.
Absolutely. So, but what I agree with all of that. It's never the right time. So let's
Sorry, I had to state
make sure that's definitely a point that needs to be made. Is it is never the right time. However, there are more strategic ways to go about starting a business, like you were saying, and is something that I wish I would have thought about more when I started mine. And for those of you that are thinking of starting a company or running a business, it is my best advice would be to wait as long as you possibly can. If you've got a job that's paying you money right now, you have a paycheck coming in. Yes, you may be working your 40 hours a week, and you might be burnt out at the end of the week, whatever, but you have a paycheck coming in. So something that I didn't know when I started mine, right, and this will get into goal setting afterwards, but I started my company while I had another job. And immediately, maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks in after starting the company, I was like, you know what, I'm working too much. I'm just gonna run with the business, and the reason that that's a mistake is because I thought that I would have, I'd be able to just work Monday through Friday when I had my business now, as opposed to when I was working for this other job. I had Monday through Friday at the job, and then I would go Saturday, Sunday, and work, doing side jobs for my company, right? So I was like, oh, that's too much work. I'm gonna go ahead and just do my company. I'll make my money, and I'll only work half the time. Wrong. Whenever you start your business,
Wrong business type to be doing that, my friend.
if you don't, any business, you know what I mean? If you don't, if I were you, I would wait as long as possible in the job that's making you money. Learn
Yes.
as much as you possibly can on the weekends while you still have a steady paycheck coming in. Because when you take that jump, things aren't going to go the way you want them to.
Can I offer one more thing here?
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is if you're looking to get into the industry, let's say you're in carpentry now and you want to transition to graphic design. Maybe once you're stable, go get a job at being a graphic designer before you actually go start a business being a graphic designer, so you can understand the business nuances and the whole the ins and outs of that business to make it an easier transition. Because I knew nothing about life insurance, absolutely nothing about life insurance, and I jumped in with 2 cold feet.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot, to where if I would have just learned and went and been sat down and just went a career agent route for 6 months, I would have learned a lot.
Right. So we talked about that a little bit last time, that it's okay, to go work for someone else, learning your trade or your industry before you, go off and do it on your own. But, even more important is to keep that job as long as possible, right? Keep steady income as long as possible, because I did not do that. I spent about 3 weeks, doing my business and working for somebody else. And then I thought, you know what? I'm a pro at this. I'm going to work less hours so I can be with my wife more. And it was the exact opposite. I worked way more when I first started my company and made way less.
Well, if you remember when I got straight out of welding and got my license, there was a good 2.5 months I wasn't licensed. I didn't have a job, and I was working in and out for you, just side work.
Yes.
Just trying to fill in something, because I didn't have that steady income, because it was a good month and a half, 2 months waiting for the licenses, waiting for everything to come back.
Yep.
And I was in limbo.
Exactly.
And it's like,
So
I quit the job to go, but
Yeah. So definitely, one bit of advice is to keep a steady stream of income as long as you can before you take the jump to being completely solo, because it could save you a lot of headache later on, because you're going to be making so many mistakes at the beginning.
a lot.
Unless you're listening to our podcast, we'll help you avoid most of those. But
Good plug.
yeah, right. But you're definitely going to make a ton of mistakes regardless. And if you have a paycheck coming in to where you don't have to worry about those mistakes losing a bunch of money and being worried about being able to pay your bills, it's the right way to go. Especially, because don't do it. Also, don't jump into it thinking, oh, I'll only have to work a couple hours a week and I'll make a ton of money. Because no matter what, when you first start your company, you're going to spend every waking hour and even some asleep when you're dedicated to working on that business. And so don't worry about working too much at the beginning. Try and keep that steady paycheck as much as you can. And the way that becomes easier, not easier, but the way that it becomes bearable, if it's a job that you don't like, is having your reason why. So again, the easy answer is your family. That should be everybody's answer if you have a spouse and a kid, right? Or kids.
But that's the thing is, I went so long, and I always, beat myself up along the path that, sometimes when I wasn't doing great, I'd go, man, I need to do this for my kids. And then I still wouldn't be able to get the goal done or get that dollar amount that I needed for my business. And I said, I'm like, my why wasn't strong enough. What's going on? I can't be more I'm trying. on that why.
Okay, so that's exactly what I had mentioned at the beginning, where I said that's the easy answer. Doesn't necessarily mean, and then it becomes easier, and you work harder when you're passionate about what you're doing, right? So
Yes.
that's where I wanted to get into that, because the answer, the why keeps you going, right? So no matter what, today, if my business shuts down, I will go get a job cleaning toilets because I will make sure that we've got money, right? That's my why.
That's your
fueling that.
why, fueling that, meaning you're going to go make income for your family. But doesn't mean you're going to enjoy cleaning toilets.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. Your why will keep you from stopping, right? It will make sure that I've got enough income. It doesn't mean that I'm going to excel, right?
Exactly.
So the way that you excel is you find something that you're passionate about. And for me, obviously, I love construction, but I'm finding that I love this more. I like helping and coaching and mentoring people more than I like construction. So, when we do these podcasts, I'm finding that I cannot sleep because I'm so excited to come here and talk. That's it. I want to come in here, I want to shoot videos, and then I'm spending hours a day editing these things. I'm not good at it at all, but I'm having so much fun with it. That's, I'm passionate about this, more passionate than I am about the construction company. The construction company makes me money and it's great, but I'm finding out that this is what I'm actually passionate about. So it's easier for me to come into work and hit those goals. You know what I mean? So like if I have to, we're shooting 3 of these a week and I'm editing every single one. I'm doing, editing these clips every day. And I haven't once said, oh, I got to do this because of my kids. You know what I mean? I'm saying I don't want to stop doing this.
So that's what I was going to turn it to where your why is obviously the forefront, but I want to peel back the layer a little bit too, to where your why, you need to tie in a selfish reason on why you're doing it. What I mean by that is the moment I made it not just about providing for my, daughters and my wife. The moment I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do X, Y, and Z. I deserve this. I started to do a lot better. And I'm not saying you have to be selfish, because if anyone works with me, they know that's the complete opposite with working with me. I'm not selfish by any means, and I always put other people first.
Yeah.
But I had to make it selfish because for me, we're people pleaser. We jump right back to like this third episode there, to where we please everyone else. So I had to make it more about myself, a more selfish reason, for me to actually go out and get the goals I wanted, if that makes sense.
It does. And so like,
I think that ties to the passion, to where
Yeah.
I had to make it about me, so I actually wanted to get out and do it.
right. It's just, using the word selfish is I think you're misusing it, but it is and it isn't, right, for us, because we are selfish in that we want to help people, right? So like that's what you're enjoying, creating these systems for other people, right?
Yes.
And that is selfish because you enjoy it, but at the same time, is it? Because we're doing it for other people. We're happy making other people happy.
And that's what I've realized is I can, like, in my industry, there's really two folds of it. It's either you're out front selling the clients, or you're in the back helping with all the systems.
Yeah.
And I've found it's a lot more rewarding. I thought selling was going to be the key.
Yeah.
That's not as rewarding to me. I'd rather be able to help 50 agents be able to make that type of money.
Exactly.
That's more rewarding, but I find it selfish because it's me locking myself into a room, but me doing that helps out 50 people.
Right. So, and that's, again, your reason why, to go back to the whole McDonald's thing, like that keeps you like, I'm not going to just sit down and give up no matter what, because I will provide for my family, even if I'm cleaning toilets, right? Like, I don't care. We will not go hungry. Nobody's going to have.
I mean, we both Ubered 18-hour shifts after a work day, 7 days a week. We've proven that statement.
So that your reason why keeps you going, but you have to be passionate about what you're doing if you want to excel. So, so with that, all right, now let's talk a little bit about, you have your reason why, you found something that you're passionate about. Now, how do you plan for success with goal setting? Like, what do you do to set goals that are, well, what process do you use to set goals, if you use any at all? Because some people...
and here's the thing is, I take unconventional means from the normal individual. So I'm not that type of person who goes on a whiteboard and writes down my end goal for the end of the year and then go, okay, well, month 10 I need to do this month. I keep it very loose. It's as simple as I'll go, okay, well, hey, look, quarter one's going to be growth. Quarter two is going to be sustainability. Quarter three is going to be growth again. And quarter four, we are going to scale back and make sure we can, maintain what we have so we are going into quarter one the next year solid, right? Obviously, those are just the on-top goals. When I say that is my own goals, I don't go in depth. I keep them surface level on top. Then I match my activities day to day. The schedule that I do each day will make it to that end goal. I know this is going to be like roundabout because there's no solid. It's not like I go on and find Maxwell and like have a goal setting structure. It's very simple. I know what the end goal is, and I rely on my day-to-day schedule to hit that end goal. It's not that I go on a whiteboard and go work completely backwards exactly what I want, because the thing is, working backwards, I can plan something out for 12 hours perfectly. But I know the moment I go to take action on that plan's going to shift 1,000 times.
Yes.
So I'd rather just get the goal on paper and shoot for that goal and just match my activities up to that goal.
Perfect.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So it's good that you say that, because there are, all these goal setting gurus and all these, hey.
It's a waste of time to me, honestly.
Yeah, and for some it is, right? So there's a couple things I want to talk about real quick. And one is that all these goal setting gurus, they say if you write down your goals, you're 90% more likely to achieve them. I should probably Google that, so I don't want to be giving misinformation. But whatever it is, if you write it down, you're so much more inclined
Works
to
for some people,
achieve them, right? I tell you right now that's a load of crap. If your why and your passion are not aligned, right? So
exactly.
I have done that with my construction company so many times.
2019, I bought Grant Cardone's, it was like a New Year transformation. You got on there for an hour and he went through, this is how you make your plans. Did all of it. I found it the other day and I laughed at it.
Yep.
Because I made it all structured, everything out. It was literally like a 4-page business plan.
Yep.
Never did a single thing on that plan, but I know it took me hours to make.
Exactly. So, and I've done that myself. I haven't purchased anything like that, but I have sat down and said, here's my goals.
I did it once and realized I'm never doing it again because it was...
Yeah. So like I wrote down multiple times. I mean, throughout the years, I've written down, hey, this is your goal by this time frame. This is your goal for this amount of whatever. I've written that down several times, and I will constantly, a year later, I'll find where I wrote that down and go, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't do anything towards it. You know what I mean? None of that has worked. But it was because my mind wasn't in the right spot, and again, my passion wasn't there, and my why wasn't aligned correctly. So I do now I do something completely different that I tried to. It's a system that I use to plan for my business and set achievable goals that I can track easily. That is replicatable.
So I want to just say one thing on that. With me saying I don't have like a set system on it, I just say here's this end goal. Hey, let's just say, hey, by the end of the year, I just use a decent number here. At the end of the year, I want to do $1 million. I have the reporting in place to where by the end of quarter one, if I'm not at 250, I know I got to readjust.
Yeah.
So it's not the fact of is the goal written down, is it in front of me every single day like that? No. But the systems I have put in place, the reporting, the KPIs, it's all there to where no matter what goal I want to go towards, I have the data and the analytics to push myself in the right direction.
Right. And again, that is something that is important to know, because goals, doing the whole mapping out your goals isn't for everybody, obviously. If you've done it, I've done it, and it doesn't work. I made a system now that works for me and planning for my business, but it's not something that, in the past I would have done anything with, because I didn't utilize it correctly, right? I wouldn't have utilized it correctly. So now I set goals for a year, right? I say, hey, where do I want to be at the end of the year? And I set that goal, and then I work back in 6-month increments, right? So I say, okay, in 12 months, I want to be here. So that means in 6 months, I need to be here realistically if I'm going to get to there in 12 months. And then from that 6 months, I have 2 quarters in 6 months, right? There's, quarters, 3 months. So I break that up into quarters. So I say, all right, by the first quarter, I need to have this much done, and by the second quarter, I should be at this 6-month mark. So then I take that first quarter and I break that down, by the month, and then by the week, and that's how. So actually, I break that down by the month, and then I take the first month and break that down by week, and then I map out for my employees what they should be accomplishing and what I should be accomplishing, and we meet every week and go over all that, right?
Oh,
and it's not. I know it sounds like a lot, but I promise it makes it makes it so that I have one task that needs to be accomplished each week to stay on track to my 6-month goals, right? Instead of overwhelming yourself, which is part of that system that I'm sure Grant Cardone had, right? Where you write down all these goals.
Oh yeah, it was just over the top. And the thing is, when you go over the top like that, most of these gurus, most of these courses that you buy, they're all trying to get you to do a lot of change in one go. And most of the time, most of the issue is people try to implement 5, 6, 7 things when they're not disciplined enough for one of those.
Yeah.
So they get discouraged day 1, day 2, and then they forget the whole system because now you failed 7 times in a day instead of just once.
Yeah.
And you can't recoup from that mentally because you put in all this work, the 12 hours to build this goal-setting, monstrosity, and all of a sudden, day 2, you failed.
Yep. And that, I cannot tell you how many times I've done that in the last 3 years. Probably once a month for the last, or not the last, probably within the last 5 years, for 3 of those years, once a month, I was doing exactly that.
Yes.
I would say, hey, and we've talked about this on another podcast already. I've said I'm going to be a superhuman come Monday. And that would last 1 or 2 days, and then 90% of those habits would fall off, and I would only stay with one for another month or 2, and then that would fall off, and then I'd reset completely. So another thing that I've been working on is developing a, kind of a 60-day plan for individuals to fix those types of things that is achievable, because all of these guys selling this stuff, it is so frustrating when you sign up for their thing, or you join whatever group they have, and all it is a bunch of individuals just like you who are thinking, oh, this is it, this is the answer, this is what I needed,
not the answer.
This is the key to my success. And then 2 weeks in, there's 4 people left in that challenge out of 130. You know what I mean?
So the biggest thing though is what people need to understand is, if you go and put down goals that, obviously, if you're writing down goals that are worthwhile goals, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and go, do I need to change the person I am to hit those goals?
Funny, we just talked about that.
9 times out of 10, you have to shift the person you are to be able to meet those goals.
Yes, and the way we talked about this again last time is the best way to do that is to do something uncomfortable. That's it. Anything. I don't care what it is. If it's eating lettuce, you don't like lettuce, which I don't like lettuce, but I just did. I don't like, okay, real quick, I don't like any fruit, any vegetables, right?
Not to.
Yeah, I'm a meat and potatoes and a chocolate brownies kind of guy. So I did the Whole30 challenge, which is, for anybody that doesn't know, it's a diet. There's no dairy, there's no processed foods really. So no dairy, no grains, no sugar or no added sugars or artificial sugars, and whatever. Those alone are annoying enough, right? So I did that for 30 days. And that was, 2 weeks in, it was up until 2 weeks in, it was the hardest thing I've ever done because all I wanted to do was take a whole tray of brownies and shove it down my throat. That's all I wanted was brownies and ice cream, right? So first 2 weeks was terrible. I had cravings for sugar because sugar's a huge problem. It's very addictive. So I did that. And then the next 2 weeks, it was super easy and I felt better than I ever have in my life. And actually, it made me start this podcast, made me do all these things. Or it showed me that I could do all these things because I was disciplined enough to stick to this.
I was going to say that little bit of discipline.
That's it.
And it's crazy though. You did one thing.
Exactly.
You did one thing, not 6, 7.
Nope.
You did one, focused on one until you accomplished that. After you accomplish the one, you go, wow, I can do this.
Exactly.
You add in, so you start. And then after a year, you're like, I just built a good, an additional 7 to 10 habits. Now you're progressing into the person and,
Exactly.
progressing towards the goals you want to be at. But 9 times out of 10, the person you are is not going to be the person you need to be to hit those goals.
Exactly. So setting all the goals, writing things down, doesn't matter if you don't have the self-discipline, the reason why, and the passion to take action on those goals.
Yeah, and
that's it.
And it's crazy because we've been going back and forth these last few podcasts between taking action, between goal setting, between time management.
Yeah.
And they all go hand in hand with each other. Like
Personal development.
And that's the key right there.
Yeah.
And that's what most people miss is, I just want to go into business. That's all I got to go do. Like I got to be good at business. I got to go learn how to, run a P&L. I got to go figure out what KPIs are. I got to go figure out how to do social media. That's what they think about. And they don't think about the first derivative of the problem, which is themselves.
Exactly.
You can't go anywhere without improving you.
Exactly.
And I mean, I guess that is a good tie off to, end off on there is more or less if you are trying to set goals, if you're trying to more or less not just take action, but you're trying to find that passion, find a why, it's not just about the people you're doing it for. You have to realize you have to change you to help out everyone around you.
Right.
If you get better, everyone around you gets better.
Exactly. So that's what we talked about last time, which was getting out of that slump, out of those, those 5 people that you're around. You have to be the one to make those decisions. And it is not easy, guys. I promise you.
No, it's rough.
I did it for 3 years. I told myself, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better.
You lose friends.
Yep.
Your family is going to get mad at you. They're going to look at you and go, why are you working so much? I get every single time we're in a family reunion, I get questioned.
Reunion. A family event, not reunion.
Sorry.
Right? We don't do You act like we...
Well, I'm talking like the holidays.
No, I know, but you made it sound like we do a reunion once a month or something. But if we're all hanging out, yeah.
But I get questioned, why are you working so much? Like, why aren't you taking more time off? Because for me, I'd rather put in the time now and go forward. Like you said, real quick on this, that, like you plan for 6 months.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I can't plan 6 months out because the amount of work that I do within a month is a 3-month span for most people. Mm-hmm. So my planning is skewed for most people. Like for my timelines are skewed because I work so much.
Yeah. Well, I mean that. Well, let's talk about that next time. Let's talk because there's a couple things I want to add on to that, but we're running out of time, so we'll go ahead and end it here and leave you guys with just setting goals and having a reason why does not mean that you're going to take action on those things. All right, you have to look in and work on your personal development for those things, and all of those things have to align for you to improve and move forward. So for that, we'll end it there, and we'll see you guys next time. You got anything else?
No, we'll talk to you guys next time.
All right, thanks guys.